Akorful V The State, 1963 to Ghana Law Report 371379, and this case is also under the criminal law of Ghana, and specifically it deals with murder, manslaughter, and intention. The facts. The appellant heard someone trying to force open his window at about 1 a.m. He got up, took his gun, and went out to investigate. He did not see anybody. A few moments later, he saw someone walking in the dark. He shouted at the person, but there was no answer. Thinking that the person was a thief, he fired his gun towards the direction where the person was coming from in order to scare him away. His shots hit and killed one Kofi Boabin. The appellant was charged with murder. He was the sole witness to the incident. In his summing up, the judge said to the jury, intention, as far as the courts are concerned, is inferred from one's conduct. He also said to the jury that, in this case, therefore, there are the constituent elements which amount to murder, but the law says, even though all the ingredients of the offense are there are some circumstances in which the offense is reduced to manslaughter. On appeal, the court held that 1. The proposition that a jury in a murder trial need not consider what an accused person in fact contemplated as a probable result of his act once they are satisfied that the act was unlawful and voluntary, and that any reasonable man in the position of the accused would appreciate the consequences of his act, is not applicable to the law of murder in this country. In this case, the learned judge, in directing the jury to apply an objective test in determining the intention of the appellant, had seriously misdirected the jury on this issue. 2. Before an accused person can be convicted of murder, it must be proved that he had a real or wicked intention to kill, or that the circumstances were such that he was aware that the result of his act would be death. Again, the court held that, in accordance with Section 11.3 of the Criminal Code 1960, the jury were entitled to presume that the appellant intended to cause the death of Kofi Boabin if, in the absence of any explanation, they were satisfied on the facts adduced by the prosecution that it should have been apparent to the appellant that if he did not use reasonable caution, his act was likely to cause death. But the jury should have been told that the presumption of intention was rebuttable and not absolute, and that if they believed the appellant's evidence relating to his intention, or thought it was probable, or if his evidence raised reasonable doubt in their minds about his intention, he was entitled to be acquitted. Again, the court held that nowhere in the summing up did the learned trial judge refer to the evidence of the appellant's intention of firing his gun in order to scare away a thief, and his failure to do so, taken together with his direction that the elements of the charge of murder had been proved, amounted to a substantial miscarriage of justice, for he clearly prevented the jury from considering the real issues affecting the guilt or innocence of the appellant, and thereby deprived him of a fair chance of acquittal. Again, the court held that in a murder trial, it is necessary to explain to the jury the fundamental distinction between murder and manslaughter in order to enable them to understand the verdict that they are entitled to return. The failure to draw such a distinction may occasion a possible miscarriage of justice. In this case, though the learned trial judge directed the jury to return a verdict of manslaughter if they thought there were circumstances which reduced the offense to manslaughter, yet he did not explain the difference between manslaughter and murder. The court, therefore, substituted for the verdict found by the jury in the Cape Coast criminal sessions a verdict of manslaughter, and, in substitution for the sentence passed at the trial, the court sentenced the appellant to 7 years imprisonment with hard labor.